Aries, Mesh Rashi.
Namaste, my beloved friends. There are some people who think for years and still do not move. There are some people who dream, plan, discuss, analyze, and imagine. But when the moment of action comes, they hesitate. And then there is Aries, Mesh Rashi, the first sign of the zodiac, the sign of fire, courage, movement, impulse, directness, innocence, and action. Aries is often limited to one description. People say Aries is quick, loud, impulsive, aggressive, impatient, and action oriented. But this is only half the truth. Yes, Aries can be quick, Aries can be direct. Yes, Aries can be impulsive. Yes, Aries can speak before thinking. Yes, Aries can become hot very fast. But to understand Aries only through impatience and aggression is a very shallow understanding of this powerful zodiac sign. Aries is not merely a sign of impulse. Aries is the sign of birth. Aries is the first cry of life. Aries is the first step. Aries is the first spark. Aries is the courage to begin when nobody else has started. Aries is the force that says, let us do it. Without Aries, the zodiac itself would not begin. Without Aries, life would remain stuck in planning. Without Aries, ideas would remain ideas. Dreams would remain dreams. Possibilities would remain possibilities. Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars gives courage, action, energy, fighting spirit, stamina, competitiveness, and the ability to take initiative. But Mars is not only war, Mars is also protection. Mars is not only anger, Mars is also courage. Mars is not only aggression, Mars is also the ability to stand up, move forward, and fight for what is right. This is why Aries natives often have a certain innocence in their action. They may be blunt, but they are not always cunning. They may be direct, but they are not always manipulative. They may be fiery, but they are not always dark hearted. This is one of the most beautiful things about Aries. Aries is usually a straightforward, clean character sign. Unless there are other negative combinations in the birth chart, Aries natives generally do not enjoy backbiting, backstabbing, plotting, or indulging in shady games. They are not naturally secretive manipulators. They are more open, blunt, innocent, and no nonsense. If they like you, you will know. If they are angry, you will know. If they disagree, they may say it directly. There is a certain fineness in this straightforward nature of Aries, and I personally admire this quality of Aries natives. Aries brings warmth into life. Aries brings liveliness. Aries brings energy. Aries brings movement. Aries brings joy. Aries brings excitement. Aries brings that spark which makes it feel alive. Without Aries, the zodiac cycle would become a boring place to live. Because Aries is not here to sit quietly in one corner and keep calculating forever. Aries is here to move. Aries is here to act. Aries is here to try. Aries is here to begin. This reminds me of the great saint Samartha Ramdas Swami's powerful line. He writes, केल्याने होत आहे रे, आधी केलेची पाहिजे. It means only when you actually do something, something can truly manifest. First, you must act. First, you must begin. First, you must take a step. This line perfectly describes Aries energy. Aries natives are doers. They will not just keep talking and dreaming. They will not sit for years discussing possibilities. They will get up and take action toward achieving their goal. That is why Aries can be excellent at implementing ideas, especially creative ideas. Many people have ideas, very few people implement them. Aries has the courage to implement. Aries has the courage to start before everything is perfect. Aries has the courage to enter the field. Aries has the courage to take the first risk, and life belongs to those who have the courage to begin. But Aries is also a highly spiritual sign, and this is something many people forget. They only see the fire of Aries. They do not see the hidden spirituality of Aries. They only see the outer impulsiveness. They do not see the inner possibility of transformation. They only see the warrior. They do not see the seeker. They only see the action. They do not see the innocence behind the action. Within Aries itself, there are three very different nakshatra energies. Ashwini nakshatra gives speed, healing, madness, innocence, and spiritual awakening through Ketu. Bharani nakshatra gives beauty, taste, pleasure, art, discipline, and deep spiritual intensity through Venus. Krittika nakshatra gives fire, authority, leadership, sharpness, and power through the sun. And together, these three nakshatras reveal the complete evolution of Aries. Let us begin with Ashwini nakshatra, the very first nakshatra of the zodiac. Ashwini is ruled by Ketu. This itself is very significant. The zodiac begins not with Rahu, not with Venus, not with Mercury, not with Jupiter, but with Ketu. And Ketu is not an ordinary planet. Ketu represents detachment, past life karma, spiritual memory, intuition, healing, moksha, and the mysterious push toward liberation, moksha. In the early years, Ashwini natives may appear very materialistic, fast, restless, playful, daring, impatient, and even reckless. They may love speed, they may love movement, they may love excitement, they may jump into things quickly, they may do things others would never imagine doing. But this is only the outer layer of Ashwini nakshatra, because deep within Ashwini, Ketu is working. And the ultimate goal of Ketu is to bring the native on the path of spirituality. This is why many Ashwini natives, especially after the age of 36 or 42, can begin moving towards spirituality in a much deeper way. The same person who earlier seemed restless, materialistic, or impulsive may slowly begin asking deeper questions. What is the meaning of life? What is the purpose of all this action? Why am I running? What am I really searching for? And then the Ketu within Ashwini begins to awaken. Ashwini is funny. Ashwini is unusual. Ashwini can be unpredictable. Ashwini Nakshatra people can appear crazy because they can do the unimaginable. They may suddenly decide something. They may suddenly take a risk. They may suddenly begin a new journey. They may suddenly change a direction. They may suddenly act in a way that shocks others. But this so-called madness is not always negative. Sometimes only those who appear mad to the world have the courage to break through the ordinary limitations of the mind. There is a beautiful quote that perfectly describes Ashwini natives. And those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music. This is Ashwini Nakshatra. Others may not hear the music, but Ashwini hears it. Others may not understand the impulse, but Ashwini feels it. Others may not understand why Ashwini is moving, dancing, running, acting, risking or jumping, but something inside Ashwini has already heard the call. In the mystical sense, being mad is not always bad. I am not using this word in an insulting way. I am using it in the spiritual sense. Someone who is not imprisoned by the ordinary calculating so-called sane mind. Avatar Meher Baba used to go in search of mad people. When his devotees would ask him, why do you go in search of insane mad people when sane people like us are available? Meher Baba would laugh and say, because it is much easier to transform a madman into an enlightened man, since he is already out of his mind but through the wrong door. I have to show him the right door and he can attain enlightenment. Whereas a typical sane man would ask many questions and raise many intellectual doubts. This is a very deep insight. The ordinary mind is full of questions, doubts, arguments, calculations, ego, and resistance. But the one who has already moved beyond ordinary logic can sometimes be turned toward God more easily. This is the higher potential of Ashwini Nakshatra. The same madness that looks chaotic in the beginning can become spiritual intensity later. The same speed that creates restlessness can become healing speed. The same innocence that looks foolish to the world can become divine simplicity. Ashwini is also connected with healing. The Ashwini Kumaras are known as divine physicians. Therefore, Ashwini natives can have healing ability, either physically, emotionally, spiritually, or energetically. Sometimes they heal through action. Sometimes they heal through their presence. Sometimes they heal through speed. Sometimes they heal by bringing freshness and hope into a dead situation. When life becomes dull, Ashwini enters and suddenly movement begins. Ashwini loves speed, but Ashwini must learn direction. Speed without direction becomes an accident. Speed with awareness becomes a miracle. Action without consciousness becomes chaos. Action with devotion becomes healing. This is the lesson of Ashwini. Move, but move with awareness. Act, but act with inner correction. Be innocent, but do not become careless. Be bold, but do not become reckless. Be spontaneous, but do not become destructive. There is a beautiful scene in the Bollywood movie Bajrangi Bhaijaan. that captures this Ashwini like innocence. The hero of the movie tries to cross the India-Pakistan border without a visa. But instead of secretly entering, he sincerely seeks permission from the Pakistani military. One of the Pakistani officers tells him to enter quietly, but he waits for verbal permission. Then the officer says, "ये पागल नहीं, पूरा पागल है." Meaning, he is not just mad, he is completely mad. But that kind of innocence, that kind of straightforward madness is sometimes far better than the cleverness of so-called intellectuals and pandits. This is Ashwini Nakshatra. It may look foolish to the world, but often it is pure. It may look crazy, but often it is innocent. It may look impulsive, but often it is sincere. And when such innocence turns towards spirituality, it can become very powerful. After Ashwini comes Bharani Nakshatra. Bharani Nakshatra is ruled by Venus, and it is one of the most intense, juicy, creative and life-filled nakshatra within Aries. If Ashwini is speed, Bharani is depth. If Ashwini is sudden action, Bharani is the womb of experience. If Ashwini is innocence, Bharani is the richness of life. If Ashwini begins the journey, Bharani carries the consequences of life, pleasure, responsibility, discipline and transformation. Bharani is a very juicy nakshatra. It brings forth impressive behavior, charm, taste, manners, attraction and artistic ability. Literature, music, dancing, singing, painting and even cooking are areas where Bharani Nakshatra people can be very good. They are not dry people. They have flavor, they have style, they have presentation. They know how to impress others. And more importantly, they often succeed in impressing others. There is something in Bharani that understands human desire. Bharani understands how people feel, what attracts them, what pleases them, what moves them, what impresses them. This can make Bharani natives highly successful in creative fields, public life, entertainment, beauty, art, performance, communication, hospitality, cooking, music, dance, writing and any field where human experience matters. Bharani can bring gentlemanly behavior, refined conduct, charm, grace and strong ability to influence others. A Bharani Nakshatra native may know how to carry themselves. They may know how to speak well, dress well, present well and create an impression. And because Aries gives action and Venus gives charm, Bharani natives can often turn attraction into achievement. They do not merely dream of success, they know how to move toward it and how to create impact. But Bharani is not merely materialistic. Bharani Nakshatra is also deeply spiritual in nature. This may surprise some people because Bharani is ruled by Venus and connected with pleasure, luxury, beauty and comfort. But true spirituality does not come only through rejecting life. Sometimes spirituality comes through experiencing life deeply and then discovering that even the richest pleasures are not enough without inner awakening. Bharani carries both desire and discipline. Bharani carries both luxury and responsibility. Bharani carries both pleasure and transformation. Bharani is connected with the power to bear, to contain, to go through intense experiences, and to emerge transformed. Therefore, Bharani natives may enjoy beauty, comfort, romance, music, food, art, and luxury, but somewhere deep within, they also carry a strong karmic intensity. This is why Bharani natives must learn balance. Enjoy life but do not become enslaved by pleasure. Impress others but do not become dependent on admiration. Create beauty but do not lose your inner truth. Love comfort but do not forget spiritual discipline. Use your charm but do not manipulate. Use your attractiveness but do not become egoistic. Use your artistic gifts but offer them to something higher. The higher Bharani Nakshatra becomes creative, graceful, spiritual, artistic, attractive, and deeply transformative. The lower Bharani Nakshatra becomes indulgent, pleasure seeking, dramatic, and trapped in desire. But when Bharani evolves, it becomes very beautiful. It shows that Venus in Aries is not merely about romance and attraction. It is about the courage to experience life fully and then rise beyond mere enjoyment into higher wisdom. After Bharani Nakshatra comes Krittika, and only the first pada of Krittika Nakshatra falls in Aries. This is the last part of Aries sign, and here the fiery nature of Aries becomes even more intense. Aries is ruled by Mars and Krittika is ruled by the Sun. Mars and Sun together create tremendous heat, authority, command, ambition, leadership, and force. This is where Aries becomes too hot to handle. Krittika in Aries can give a very bossy attitude. Leadership skills and management skills can come naturally to these natives. They may know how to command, organize, direct, and push others toward action. They may be good in senior executive roles, authority positions, administration, management, independent business, and any field where decision making power is required. But Krittika Aries natives are usually not the servant leadership type. They are not always the soft, humble, let us all decide together kind of leaders. They can be those typical I am always right type bosses who drive others the way a shepherd drives his herd. They can become strong, forceful, commanding, and sometimes haughty. They may expect others to follow their direction because they believe they know what is best. Now, this is not always bad. In certain situations, such leadership is needed. In crisis, you do not always need endless discussion. You need someone who can take charge. You need someone who can decide. You need someone who can say, move now. Krittika Aries can do that. They can carry fire. They can cut confusion. They can bring discipline. They can create a movement where others are stuck. But the shadow for Krittika is arrogance. The shadow is harshness. The shadow is domination. The shadow is believing that only my way is right. The shadow is not listening. The shadow is turning leadership into control. Therefore, Krittika Aries natives must learn humility. They must learn that true leadership is not merely driving people. True leadership is inspiring people. True leadership is not merely authority. True leadership is responsibility. True leadership is not merely power. True leadership is wisdom. Because Mars gives action and Sun gives authority. But if there is no spiritual maturity, action becomes aggression and authority becomes ego. Therefore, Krittika Aries must learn to purify fire. Fire should give light, not only heat. Fire should cook food, not burn the house. Fire should remove impurity, not destroy relationships. Fire should protect dharma, not feed ego. The evolved Krittika Aries becomes courageous, disciplined, powerful, decisive, responsible, and capable of leading others toward achievement. The unevolved Krittika Aries becomes bossy, arrogant, impatient, controlling, and too hard to handle. And so Krittika teaches Aries its third lesson. Power must be purified by humility. Now observe these three nakshatras together. Ashwini says, begin quickly and heal. Bharani says, experience deeply and create beautifully. Krittika says, lead strongly and purify. Ashwini gives speed, Bharani gives taste, Krittika gives authority. Ashwini gives innocence, Bharani gives charm, Krittika gives command. Ashwini gives madness, Bharani gives juice, Krittika gives fire. Together they form the complete journey of Aries. First, Aries begins, that is Ashwini. Then Aries experiences, that is Bharani. Then Aries commands, that is Krittika. First there is speed, then there is desire, then there is authority. First there is innocence, then there is beauty, then there is power. And finally, all these must turn towards spirituality. This is the real evolution of Aries sign. From impulse to inspired action, from anger to courage, from speed to healing, from charm to creativity, from authority to responsibility, from madness to enlightenment, from egoistic action to divine action. And before I conclude, let me share a beautiful story that perfectly captures the innocent courage, total trust, and spiritual madness of Aries sign. In Tibet, there is a beautiful story about Marpa. It may not be factual, but it is tremendously significant. And I don't care much about facts. My emphasis is on the significance and the truth, which is totally different thing. Marpa heard about a master. He was searching and he went to the master. He surrendered to the master. He trusted the master totally and he asked the master, what am I supposed to do now? Because he has already surrendered. So the master said, once you have surrendered to me, you are not supposed to do anything. Just believe in me. My name is the only secret mantra for you. Whenever you are in difficulty, just remember my name and everything will be alright. Marpa touched his feet and he tried it immediately. He was such a simple man. He walked on the river. Other disciples who had been with the master for years could not believe it. Marpa was walking on the water. They reported to the master that man, you have not understood him. He is no ordinary man. He is walking on water. The master said, "What?" They all ran towards the river, and Marpa was walking on the water, singing songs, dancing. When he came to the shore, the master asked, "What is the secret?" Marpa said, "What is the secret? It is the same secret that you have given to me. Your name. I remembered you. I said, 'Master, allow me to walk on water,' and it happened." The master could not believe that his name, he himself could not walk on water, but perhaps he had never tried. But it would be better to check a few more things before he tries. So he said to Marpa, "Can you jump from that hill?" Marpa said, "Whatever you say, master." He went up on the hill and jumped, and they were all standing in the valley waiting. Just pieces of Marpa will be there. Even if they can find pieces of him, that will be enough. The hill was very, very high. But Marpa came down smiling, sitting in a lotus posture. He came just under a tree in the valley and sat down. They all surrounded him. They looked at him, not even a scratch. The master said, "This is something. You used my name?" Marpa said, "It was your name." The master said, "This is enough. Now I am going to try." And the first step in the water, and he sank. Marpa could not believe it when he sank. His disciples jumped in and somehow pulled him out. He was half dead. The water was taken out of his lungs. Somehow he survived. And Marpa said, "What is the matter?" The master said, "You just forgive me. I am no master. I am just a pretender." But Marpa said, "If you are a pretender, then how did your name work?" The pretender said, "My name has not worked. It is your trust. It does not matter who you trust. It is the trust, the love, the totality of it. I don't trust myself. I don't trust anybody. I cheat everybody. How can I trust? And I am always afraid to be cheated by others because I am cheating others. Trust is impossible for me. You are an innocent man, Marpa. You trusted me. It is because of your trust that the miracles have happened." Now, whether the story is true or not, it does not matter, my fellows. One thing is certain, that your misery is caused by your mistakes, and your bliss is caused by your trust, by your love. And this story carries a very deep message for Aries natives. Marpa was not calculating. Marpa was not overthinking. Marpa was not sitting with a notebook weighing pros and cons. Marpa was not asking 10 intellectual questions before taking one step. He trusted and he acted. And this is where the story becomes deeply connected with Aries. Aries is the sign of action. Aries is the sign that moves before the mind creates too many doubts. Aries is the sign that says, "Let me try." Aries is the sign that has the courage to begin. But this story shows us the difference between ordinary impulsiveness and spiritual action. When Aries acts from ego, it becomes impatience. When Aries acts from anger, it becomes conflict. When Aries acts from pride, it becomes domination. But when Aries acts from trust, innocence, love, and surrender, then the same action becomes miraculous. This is the secret. The problem is not action, the problem is unconscious action. The problem is not speed, the problem is speed without awareness. The problem is not courage, the problem is courage without surrender. The problem is not fire, the problem is fire without devotion. Marpa had the innocence of Ashwini Nakshatra. He did not complicate life, he simply trusted and moved. That is why Ashwini natives can appear mad to the world. They may do things that others cannot understand. They may take sudden steps. They may walk where others are afraid to walk. They may dance to music that others cannot hear. But when this innocence is guided by trust, it can become a doorway to the divine. Marpa also carried the intensity of Bharani Nakshatra. Surrender is not weak. Surrender requires tremendous inner strength. To trust totally, to love totally, to give oneself totally, this is not ordinary. Bharani Nakshatra teaches that life must be experienced deeply. And Marpa did not trust half-heartedly. He trusted totally. His trust was not intellectual. His trust was alive. And Marpa also carried the fire of Krittika Nakshatra. He acted, he jumped, he walked. He did not merely speak about faith. He demonstrated faith. This is where Aries becomes powerful. Aries is not interested only in philosophy. Aries wants experience. Aries wants action. Aries wants proof through life itself. But the deepest message of this story is this: the miracle was not in the master, the miracle was in the trust. And this is something every Aries native must understand. Your power does not come only from your muscles, your voice, your speed, your confidence, your leadership, or your ability to fight. Your real power comes when your fire is joined with trust. Your real power comes when your action is joined with love. Your real power comes when your courage is joined with surrender. Otherwise, Aries can become restless. Aries can become angry. Aries can become egoistic. Aries can become too fast for its own good. But when Aries bows down to the divine, the same fire becomes sacred. Then action becomes worship. Then courage becomes devotion. Then speed becomes healing. Then bluntness becomes truth. Then madness becomes enlightenment. Then Aries is no longer just a warrior. Aries becomes a spiritual warrior. This is why Aries natives should never suppress their fire. Fire is not wrong. Mars is not wrong. Action is not wrong. Courage is not wrong. Your directness is not wrong. Your enthusiasm is not wrong. But everything must be offered to a higher center. When the ego drives Aries, Aries creates conflict. When trust guides Aries, Aries creates miracles. When anger drives Aries, Aries burns relationships. When love guides Aries, Aries protects others. When pride drives Aries, Aries becomes bossy. When devotion guides Aries, Aries becomes a leader of light. That is why Spiritual practice is extremely important for Aries natives. You should worship Ganpati Bappa. Fast on Wednesdays if possible. Offer modak and red flowers to Ganpati Bappa or Lord Ganesha on Wednesdays. Chant daily this specific Ganesha mantra. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. And also recite or listen to Atharva Shirsha every morning. Atharva Shirsha is a shlok that you should always listen either in the morning or in the evening. This will cool the restless fire, remove obstacles, and guide your action in the right direction. My dear Aries natives, you are not ordinary. You are the first spark of the zodiac. You are the beginning. You are the impulse of life itself. You are the courage that says yes when others are still thinking. You are the warmth that brings life into a dull room. You are the joy, the liveliness, the innocence, the madness, and the raw honesty of existence. Do not be ashamed of being yourself. Just be yourself. But be yourself with awareness. Be bold but not careless. Be direct but not hurtful. Be fast but not reckless. Be strong but not arrogant. Be innocent but not foolish. Be powerful but not egoistic. Be a warrior, but let your war be against ignorance, fear, laziness, and unconsciousness. And always remember this beautiful truth. You are as good as existence needs you to be. In this moment, in this place, nobody else can replace you. You are irreplaceable. There is a reason you were born with this fire. There is a reason you carry this courage. There is a reason you cannot tolerate deadness, dullness, and endless delay. There is a reason life gave you this action-oriented spirit. Use it well. Use it with love. Use it with trust. Use it with devotion. Let your Aries fire become the lamp of Ganpati Bappa. Let your courage become protection. Let your speed become service. Let your madness become meditation. Let your action become prayer. Love to all Aries men and women. I have always had a very good bond with Aries folks in my life because there is something very refreshing about you. You may be blunt, but you are alive. You may be fiery, but you are warm. You may be impatient, but you are sincere. You may appear mad to the world, but perhaps you are only hearing a music that others cannot hear. So keep dancing, keep moving, keep beginning, keep trusting, and above all, keep your heart innocent. Because when Aries acts with trust, love, and surrender, even the impossible can become possible. Love to all my Aries friends, especially those who are following me closely. Jai Sri Ganesha, Jai Guru.
Taurus, Vrishabh Rashi.
Namaste, my beloved friends. There are some people who keep running through life, always rushing, always changing, always chasing something new. And then there is Taurus, Vrishabh Rashi, the sign of the bull, the sign of strength, stability, loyalty, beauty, hard work, pleasure, and deep rooted devotion. Perhaps no symbol describes Taurus better than the bull, because the bull is not an ordinary animal. In Indian tradition, the bull is sacred. The bull is deeply connected with Lord Shiva. Nandi, the divine bull, is the beloved vehicle of Lord Shiva. And whenever you enter Shiva temple, you always find Nandi sitting with complete devotion, facing Lord Shiva, silent, still, focused, loyal, surrendered, waiting, watching, and absorbed in his master. This is very important because Nandi is not merely sitting in front of Shiva. Nandi represents devotion. Nandi represents faithfulness. Nandi represents patience. Nandi bull represents strength that has bowed down before the divine. Nandi shows us that true strength is not arrogance. True strength is surrender. True strength is loyalty. True strength is the ability to remain steady in one direction. And this is the deeper spiritual message of Taurus. Taurus may love the comforts of life. Taurus may love beauty, food, music, luxury, good clothes, good fragrance, good relationships, good homes, and good experiences. But at the soul level, Taurus is searching for one thing: security, a stable heart, a stable life, a stable relationship, a stable foundation, and ultimately a stable connection with the divine. Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus gives beauty, attraction, romance, music, art, pleasure, refinement, and the ability to enjoy life. But Taurus is not Libra. Libra is also ruled by Venus, but Libra is air. Libra seeks harmony through relationships, balance, intelligence, and social refinement. Taurus is earth. Taurus seeks harmony through stability, comfort, loyalty, beauty, and physical experience. Libra may admire a beautiful painting, but Taurus wants to live in a beautiful home. Libra may appreciate a musical composition, but Taurus wants to feel the music in the body. Libra may enjoy a refined conversation, but Taurus wants warmth, food, touch, presence, and real life comfort. Because Taurus is deeply connected with the body, and this is not something negative. The body is not against spirituality. The body is the temple of the soul. And Taurus understands the body very deeply. A true Taurus native is often conscious of physical comfort, appearance, food, clothing, fragrance, surroundings, and bodily well-being. Just look at the bull. The bull is one of the most handsome and impressive animals. Strong body, muscular structure, beautiful build, powerful neck, steady eyes, and majestic presence. The way a bull carries himself commands respect. He does not need to prove himself. His presence itself speaks. And many Taurus natives carry this quality: a certain physical presence, a certain attractiveness, a certain grounded charm, a certain natural magnetism. Especially when Venus is strong, Taurus natives can possess beautiful features, pleasing voice, attractive body language, and a very appealing personality. Taurus women in particular often carry a very earthy charm. They may love music, travel, beautiful clothes, designer dress, dressing up, good food, and the many pleasures of life. Many Taurus women are foodies by heart, and many Taurus women can be excellent cooks because Taurus does not merely eat. Taurus enjoys. Taurus feels the taste, the texture, the fragrance, and the comfort of food. For Taurus, food is not just survival, food is an experience. Music is not just a sound, music is a feeling. Clothing is not just fabric, clothing is expression. Love is not just words, love must be felt through touch. And perhaps this is why Taurus can bring so much sweetness into relationships. If you want a partner who can enjoy music, dance, romance, food, travel, comfort, and the many beautiful moments of life, then Taurus can be a wonderful answer. Taurus woman can bring warmth, laughter, beauty, affection, and emotional richness into life. And Taurus men also have their own charm. Many Taurus men are handsome, steady, practical, focused on career goals, and deeply motivated to create financial security. Taurus men may not always talk too much about their dreams, but silently and steadily they work. Because Taurus is not interested in empty imagination. Taurus wants results. Taurus wants something solid, a home, a business, a bank balance, a family, a reputation, a comfortable lifestyle, and a life that can be touched, seen, enjoyed, and protected. This is the earth element. Earth does not rush, earth does not shout, earth does not jump from one thing to another. Earth builds, earth supports, earth holds, earth nourishes, and Taurus is fixed earth sign. That means once Taurus decides something, it becomes very difficult to move them. This is both their strength and their challenge. The strength is consistency, the challenge is stubbornness. The strength is loyalty, the challenge is possessiveness. The strength is patience, the challenge is resistance to change. The strength is endurance, the challenge is becoming too comfortable. That is why Taurus natives often take time to change. They may know something is not working, but they will still hold on. They may know a relationship has become heavy, but they may still continue. They may know a habit is unhealthy, but they may still delay correction because Taurus becomes attached to familiarity. For Taurus, the known feels safe, even if the known is not always good. This is one of the deepest lessons of Taurus. Comfort is beautiful, but comfort should not become a prison. Stability is beautiful, but stability should not become stagnation. Loyalty is beautiful, but loyalty should not become blind attachment. Pleasure is beautiful, but pleasure should not become indulgence. Taurus is here to enjoy life, but Taurus must not become trapped by enjoyment. Taurus is here to build wealth, but Taurus must not become owned by possessions. Taurus is here to love deeply, but Taurus must not become possessive. Taurus is here to be steady, but Taurus must also learn flexibility. Now let us understand something very beautiful about the bull. The bull works hard during the day. He carries weight, he serves, he supports, he helps in farming, he helps in movement, he helps in life's practical duties. And after work, the bull loves rest, food, comfort, stillness, and pleasure. This is very much Taurus. Taurus natives are often extremely hardworking, but they also want to enjoy the pleasures of life. They do not believe that life should only be struggle. They do not believe that spirituality means rejecting beauty. They do not believe that hard work should have no reward. They work hard and then they want to enjoy good food, good music, good sleep, good clothes, good company, good home, good fragrance, good atmosphere, and good celebration. This is why when I think of Taurus, I think of happiness, sweetness, enjoyment, and that beautiful word, merry. There is something merry about Taurus, something festive, joyful, warm, and connected with celebration. In India, many communities decorate their bulls on special occasions. They honor them, worship them, and celebrate them. Because the bull is not merely an animal, the bull is a companion of human civilization. In earlier days, even the Rath Yatra and many sacred journeys happened through bullock carts. The bull carried people, the bull carried goods, the bull carried tradition, the bull carried devotion, and this is Taurus, a sign that carries life forward through strength, patience, and service. Taurus natives often bring smiles, humor, warmth, and a happy-go-lucky quality into life. They may enjoy festivals, family gatherings, good food, movies, music, beauty, and the simple sweetness of life. And this is not ordinary. Many people are alive, but they do not know how to enjoy life. Taurus knows. Taurus teaches the world that life is not only a race. Life is also taste, fragrance, music, laughter, touch, beauty, rest, and celebration. But every sign, my fellows, has a shadow. And Taurus also has one. All is well with Taurus until something hits them hard. And then the wild bull awakens. A calm bull may appear peaceful, but never mistake his peace for weakness. Because when the bull becomes angry, he can become dangerous. If you have seen a bullfight, you know the force of a bull. The same animal that was standing quietly can suddenly charge with tremendous power. And this is exactly how Taurus anger works. Taurus natives may tolerate a lot. They may remain patient, silent, and calm. They may avoid unnecessary fights. They may continue giving chances. But once their patience breaks, their anger can become intense, very intense, and sometimes frightening. Because Taurus anger is not quick like Aries, it is accumulated. It builds slowly. It gathers weight, heat, and frustration. And then suddenly it erupts. That is why Taurus natives must be very careful with suppressed anger. If they keep tolerating and never express clearly, then one day the anger can become explosive. Meditation is therefore very important for Taurus. Mantra chanting is very important. Daily spiritual grounding is very important because the bull has a tremendous power. But power must be guided. If power is guided by devotion, it becomes Nandi. If power is guided by ego, it becomes rage. This is the difference. The same bull can be sacred and the same bull can become wild. The same strength can protect and the same strength can destroy. The same loyalty can become devotion and the same loyalty can become possessiveness. Therefore, Taurus must learn spiritual balance, not by rejecting pleasure, but by purifying pleasure, not by rejecting wealth, but by using wealth wisely, not by rejecting love, but by removing possessiveness from love, not by rejecting the body, but by making the body a temple. This is why Lord Shiva's connection with Nandi is so powerful. Nandi teaches Taurus, be strong but face Lord Shiva. Be loyal but be loyal to the highest. Be patient but remain awake. Be silent but remain devoted. Be powerful but surrender your power to the divine. This is the real beauty of Taurus, not merely physical beauty, material comfort, or romantic pleasure, but the beauty of a strong being who becomes humble before God. Now, within Taurus itself, there are three very different nakshatra energies. Krittika Nakshatra purifies through fire. Rohini Nakshatra creates beauty and abundance. Mrigashira Nakshatra searches for sweetness and fulfillment. And together, these three nakshatras reveal the deeper evolution of Taurus. Let us begin with Krittika Nakshatra. Only the second, third, and fourth padas of Krittika Nakshatra fall in Taurus. Krittika is connected with fire. Its deity is Agni, the purifier, the one who burns impurities, the one who transforms raw material into something useful. And this is very interesting because Taurus is earth and Krittika Nakshatra is fire. So in Taurus, Krittika becomes like controlled fire within the earth. A fire that can cook food, protect the home, and purify life. Krittika natives often have sharpness. They may be direct, clear, and strong in their likes and dislikes. They may not tolerate nonsense for too long. And within Taurus, this Krittika energy can create a person who values quality, discipline, dignity, and practical strength. Krittika wants to cut what is unnecessary. It wants purity, correctness, and improvement. But the shadow of Krittika is harshness. The tongue can become sharp. Judgment can become strong. Anger can rise quickly when things are not proper. Therefore, Krittika influenced Taurus natives must learn that fire should purify, not burn relationships. Truth is beautiful, but truth must be spoken with awareness. Discipline is beautiful, but discipline should not become cruelty. Standards are beautiful, but standards should not become arrogance. The higher Kritika becomes protective, pure, disciplined, and powerful. The lower Kritika becomes harsh, critical, and fiery. And so Kritika teaches Taurus its first lesson. Use your fire to purify yourself first. Then your presence will naturally purify the world around you. After Kritika comes Rohini, and Rohini is one of the most beautiful nakshatras in the entire zodiac. Rohini means growth, fertility, beauty, abundance, creation, and attraction. The deity of Rohini is Prajapati, Brahma, the creator. And the moon is exalted in Taurus, especially in Rohini Nakshatra. This makes Rohini deeply connected with beauty, charm, nourishment, romance, creativity, food, music, fertility, prosperity, and sensual delight. If Taurus is the body of Venus, Rohini is the fragrance of Venus. Rohini loves beauty, comfort, romance, art, color, music, beautiful clothing, and the richness of life. Many Taurus natives with Rohini influence have very attractive personalities. Their voice may be sweet, their face may be pleasing, their eyes may be magnetic, and their presence may be comforting. People may naturally feel drawn toward them because Rohini has the power of attraction, growth, creation, and beauty. But every blessing has a shadow. The shadow of Rohini Nakshatra is attachment. Too much desire for pleasure, too much emotional or material dependence, too much focus on comfort, too much possessiveness in love, and too much need to be admired can create suffering. Because beauty changes, youth changes, money changes, relationships change, taste changes, the body changes, and if one's happiness depends only on external pleasure, then peace becomes fragile. Therefore, Rohini must learn spiritual beauty, the beauty of a pure heart, the beauty of devotion, the beauty of kindness, the beauty of inner contentment, and the beauty of simplicity. Outer beauty attracts attention, but inner beauty attracts grace. The evolved Rohini becomes creative, loving, prosperous, nourishing, artistic, and deeply magnetic. The unevolved Rohini becomes indulgent, possessive, lazy, and overly attached to pleasure. And so Rohini teaches Taurus its second lesson. Enjoy beauty, create beauty, celebrate beauty, but do not become a slave of beauty. After Rohini comes Mrigashira. Only the first two padas of Mrigashira Nakshatra fall in Taurus. Mrigashira means the head of a deer. It is connected with searching, curiosity, movement, tenderness, romance, and restlessness. The deity of Mrigashira is Soma, the divine nectar. And this is very beautiful because Taurus loves pleasure and Mrigashira searches for the sweetest experience, the sweetest love, the sweetest taste, the sweetest song, the sweetest moment, and the sweetest feeling. There is a gentle seeking in Mrigashira, a desire to find something beautiful, refreshing, and emotionally satisfying. Mrigashira natives may have a youthful charm. They may enjoy travel, romance, and exploring new places, new tastes, new people, and new experiences. In Taurus, Mrigashira creates a lovely combination: earth and curiosity, stability and movement, beauty and searching. This can create a person who wants comfort but also wants freshness, a person who wants love but also wants sweetness, a person who wants security but also wants a little adventure. But the shadow of Mrigashira is dissatisfaction. Always searching, always wondering, always asking, is there something better? Is there something sweeter? Is there something more beautiful? And this can disturb Taurus stability, because the deer keeps moving, but the bull wants to stay. Therefore, Mrigashira influenced Taurus natives must learn contentment. Searching is beautiful, but endless searching becomes restlessness. Romance is beautiful, but chasing emotional excitement can damage loyalty. Pleasure is beautiful, but the mind must not become addicted to novelty. The higher Mrigashira Nakshatra becomes poetic, romantic, curious, soft, creative, and spiritually seeking. The lower Mrigashira becomes restless, dissatisfied, and emotionally wandering. And so Mrigashira teaches Taurus its third lesson: search for sweetness, but finally discover the nectar within. Now observe these three nakshatras together. Kritika says purify. Rohini says create and enjoy. Mrigashira says search for sweetness. Krittika nakshatra gives fire. Rohini nakshatra gives beauty. Mrigashira nakshatra gives longing. Kritika gives discipline. Rohini gives abundance. Mrigashira gives curiosity. And together they form the complete journey of Taurus. First, purify your desires. That is Kritika. Then, create beauty in life. That is Rohini. Then, discover the deeper sweetness within. That is Mrigashira. This is the spiritual evolution of Taurus, from possession to devotion, from pleasure to gratitude, from stubbornness to surrender, from anger to strength, from luxury to inner richness, from the bull of desire to Nandi of Shiva. And before I conclude, let me share a very beautiful story that carries a deep message for Taurus natives, the message of letting go. I have heard a person boarded a train and took a seat, but the bag he carried with him remained sitting on his head. His fellow travelers were surprised and asked him why he was still keeping his bag on his head. The man said he did not want to add to the burden of the train, which was already overloaded. The fellow travelers were amused, and one of them said to him, "You seem to be a crazy person. Even if you carry the load on your head, it is going to be a load on the train. Why carry an unnecessary burden on your head? Isn't it stupid?" The man burst into laughter and said, "I had thought you were householders, but you all seem to be sannyasis." And this man was a real sannyasi. He said, I carry the bag on my head in order to conform to the ways of the world. I wonder why you laugh at me. I see all of you carrying the burden of the world on your heads, although you know that, like this train, it is God who bears all our burdens. I just want to conform to your ways. And the man not only put the bag down on the train, but seated himself on it, saying, "This is the right way a sannyasi should sit. He is not a doer. Everything just happens." One who understands the beauty of non-action enters the state of inaction, which is acting without ego. As we are all doers, and all our doings are egocentric. And this story carries a very special message for Taurus natives. Taurus is strong. Taurus can carry weight. Taurus can carry responsibility. Taurus can carry family duties, career pressure, financial responsibilities, emotional commitments, and the burden of building a secure life. Just like the bull, Taurus is hardworking, loyal, sincere, and capable of carrying much more than others. But sometimes, because Taurus is so strong, Taurus forgets that not every burden has to be carried forever. Many Taurus natives silently carry the burden of the past. They carry the burden of money. They carry the burden of relationships. They carry the burden of possessions. They carry the burden of family expectations. They carry the burden of fear. Fear of losing security. Fear of losing comfort. Fear of losing love. Fear of losing what they have built with so much effort. And slowly, life becomes heavy. But this story reminds Taurus of something very deep. Whether you carry the bag on your head or put it down, the train is still carrying you. In the same way, whether you worry or surrender, whether you remain anxious or peaceful, whether you hold everything tightly or loosen your grip, God is still carrying your life. Existence is still carrying you. The same divine power that moves the stars, grows the trees, keeps your heart beating, and gives breath to your body is also silently carrying the journey of your life. So why carry unnecessary burden on your head? This does not mean Taurus should become irresponsible. No, Taurus must work hard. Taurus must build. Taurus must provide. Taurus must remain loyal, sincere, practical, and committed. But Taurus must learn the difference between responsibility and burden. Responsibility is action, burden is ego. Responsibility says, "I will do my duty." Burden says, "Everything depends only on me." Responsibility is healthy, burden becomes suffering. This is where Taurus must learn the spiritual art of letting go. Let go does not mean leaving everything. Let go means dropping the ego that says, "I alone am the doer." Let go means doing your karma sincerely but not carrying anxiety in your head. Let go means loving deeply but not becoming possessive. Let go means earning wealth but not living in fear. Let go means enjoying life but not becoming addicted to comfort. Let go means building a beautiful home, but remembering that the real home is within the divine. And this is why Nandi is such a powerful symbol for Taurus. The bull, that is Nandi, is strong, but he is not restless. Nandi is powerful, but he is not arrogant. Nandi is loyal, but he is not possessive. Nandi is close to Shiva, but he is not demanding anything from Shiva. He simply sits facing the Lord, silent, still, surrendered, and available. That is the highest Taurus. The wild bull carries the burden of desire. Nandi carries the fragrance of surrender. The wild bull says, I must control everything. Nandi says, I am at the feet of Shiva. The wild bull becomes angry when life does not move according to his will. Nandi waits patiently because he trusts the master. The wild bull is full of force. Nandi is full of devotion. And this is the transformation Taurus must experience. From burden to trust, from possessiveness to surrender, from stubbornness to devotion, from egoistic doing to egoless action. Work hard, Taurus, but do not carry the bag on your head. Love deeply, but do not carry emotional bondage. Earn well, but do not carry fear. Enjoy good food, music, travel, comfort, beauty, and prosperity, but do not forget that everything is temporary. Everything belongs to the divine, everything comes from Him, and everything returns to Him. When Taurus understands this, life becomes lighter. The body relaxes, the mind becomes peaceful, the heart becomes grateful, work becomes worship, food becomes prasadam, home becomes temple, wealth becomes responsibility, love becomes loyalty, and loyalty becomes devotion. So, my dear Taurus natives, remember this simple message. Carry your duties, but drop the burden. Do your karma, but drop the ego. Build your life, but do not forget God. Enjoy the world, but do not become a prisoner of the world. And whenever you feel life is becoming too heavy, remember that man in the train. Put the bag down, sit on it, smile, and say, God is carrying me. This is the wisdom of Taurus. This is the path from bull to Nandi. This is the journey from strength to surrender. And for Taurus natives, the best mantra to bring balance, stability, peace, and auspiciousness is the Ganesha mantra. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Chant this mantra daily 108 times, morning and evening. Let Ganpati Bappa, Lord Ganesha, remove obstacles from your path. Let Lord Shiva cool your anger. Let Nandi inspire your loyalty. Let your strength become devotion. Let your beauty become grace. Let your hard work become worship. And let your life become prosperous, peaceful, joyful, and deeply surrendered. Love to all Taurus men and women. In fact, Taurus indeed is a beautiful sign. Stay strong, stay sincere, stay loyal, stay beautiful, stay hardworking, enjoy the sweetness of life, but do not carry unnecessary burdens. The divine is carrying you. Always remember this. Jai Sri Ganesha, Jai Guru.
Gemini, Mithun Rashi.
Namaste, my beloved friends. When one individual meets another, a new world begins. There is conversation, curiosity, attraction, exchange, and the possibility of relationship, partnership, and creation. This is Gemini, Mithun Rashi. Gemini is represented by twins because its essential principle is duality and multiplication. One thought produces another. One question opens many possibilities. One meeting can change two lives. Gemini natives naturally connect ideas, people, and experiences, which gives them a quick, flexible, and associative intelligence. To understand Gemini more deeply, we must understand the Sanskrit word Mithun. Mithun means a pair, a couple, or two beings standing together. From the same linguistic root comes Maithun, referring to sexual union, the union of that pair. In Western astrology, Gemini is usually shown as twins. Traditional Vedic astrology offers a more revealing image, a man and a woman facing each other. The man carries a mace, symbolizing physical strength and masculine energy. The woman carries a veena, symbolizing art, refinement, and feminine energy. Two different forces meet. This is not yet marriage or complete partnership. It is the first interaction, the curiosity that arises when one person notices another and wants to know more. Gemini naturally corresponds with the third house of the Kala Purush. The first house of the Kama Trikona is the third house. The third, seventh, and 11th houses describe the movement of desire. The third begins communication and interest. The seventh brings partnership and physical union. And the 11th brings fulfillment or the outcome of the connection. Two people notice each other, begin speaking, exchange messages, discover common interests. Perhaps they meet over a cup of coffee. That simple meeting may become friendship, romance, or marriage. That is why the line, "a lot can happen over a cup of coffee," expresses the Gemini principle so beautifully. The coffee is only the setting. The real event is the conversation through which two separate worlds begin moving toward each other. However, Maithun should not be interpreted only as sexuality. At a deeper level, it represents the human desire to overcome separation through union. That union may be physical, intellectual, emotional, creative, professional, or spiritual. Two artists collaborate. Two business partners create an enterprise. A teacher and student connect through knowledge. A devotee seeks union with the divine. The form changes, but the impulse remains the same. One wishes to meet another. This brings us to Mercury, the ruler of Gemini. Mercury is the messenger. It speaks, writes, calculates, translates, negotiates, markets, trades, and explains. It carries information from one place to another and connects one mind with another. Gemini intelligence is therefore fast and adaptable. A native may hear one sentence and immediately connect it with something learned years earlier. They observe words, expressions, gestures, and tone. They notice not only what is said, but how it is said. This ability can make Gemini excellent in writing, journalism, teaching, media, sales, publishing, marketing, public relations, technology, podcasting, translation, counseling, and business development. These fields require information to be understood and communicated effectively. Gemini knows that knowledge locked inside one mind cannot influence the world. It must travel. A skilled Gemini native can explain the same subject in different ways through an example, humor, or simpler language. Their curiosity also keeps the mind youthful. They remain interested in new ideas, new technologies, people, and changing trends. Yet, flexibility can be misunderstood as inconsistency. Gemini may revise an opinion after receiving new information, and this is not always hypocrisy. An intelligent mind should be willing to learn. But flexibility must not become the absence of principles. Adaptability must not become unreliability. And communication must not become manipulation. This is one of Gemini's greatest karmic lessons. The immature Gemini may use words to impress, escape responsibility, or create confusion. The evolved Gemini uses words to educate, clarify, encourage, and heal. Speech is powerful. A sentence can begin a friendship. A careless remark can destroy trust. A sincere apology can repair a relationship. A rumor can damage a reputation. Because Gemini represents multiplication. Every native must ask, what am I multiplying through my words? Knowledge or confusion? Encouragement or anxiety? Understanding or suspicion? Gemini is both a receiver and transmitter of information. Maturity begins when speech becomes conscious, when one knows not only how to speak but what deserves to be said. Now, let us come to relationships. Gemini usually requires mental connection. Physical attraction may begin the relationship, but conversation often sustains it. Gemini appreciates humor, openness, intelligence, and a partner who introduces fresh perspectives. Friendship can easily become the foundation of romance. Two people talk, become comfortable, share personal thoughts, and gradually develop attraction. Before bodies meet, minds often meet. But Gemini must be careful not to confuse novelty with love. Every relationship begins with new stories and discoveries. eventually ordinary life enters. The other person becomes familiar, responsibilities appear, and the initial mystery reduces. An unevolved Gemini may mistake this familiarity for boredom. Yet love cannot survive only on stimulation. It requires patience and the willingness to discover another person at deeper levels. A human being is not a short article that can be finished in 5 minutes. Every person contains hidden chapters, and those chapters open through trust and shared experience. Gemini also needs freedom within relationships, but freedom cannot become emotional avoidance. A healthy bond allows individuality together with honesty and commitment. If you need space, communicate it. If your feelings have changed, do not hide behind mixed signals. The purpose of communication is not to keep every possibility open, it is to make reality clear. Gemini can also analyze emotions rather than experience them. Intellectual understanding may explain pain, but it does not automatically heal the heart. Sometimes the native must stop explaining, sit quietly, and allow the feeling to pass through. This inner journey is beautifully revealed by Gemini's three nakshatras: Mrigashira Nakshatra, Adra Nakshatra, and Punarvasu Nakshatra. Mrigashira searches, Adra Nakshatra passes through the storm, Punarvasu returns to the light. Mrigashira, symbolized by the deer's head, is alert, sensitive, and curious. It wants to explore what lies beyond the familiar. This can produce travel, research, experimentation, and wide interests. But endless searching can become restlessness. The native may imagine fulfillment in the next career, in the next relationship, in the next city, or in the next opportunity. Mrigashira must learn that movement is not always progress. Curiosity becomes meaningful only when the search gains direction and eventually turns inward. Then comes Adra, connected with Rudra and symbolized by the teardrop. Adra Nakshatra represents storms, truth, emotional intensity, and transformation. It is the moment when the seeker discovers that truth is not always comfortable. A message may alter a relationship, a fact may destroy a long held belief, an event may break an old identity. Adra Nakshatra gives penetrating intelligence and the courage to investigate what others avoid. But truth must not become cruelty. The purpose of the storm is purification. When Adra asks what illusion is being removed, pain becomes wisdom and the teardrop becomes a sacred release. After the storm comes Punarvasu Nakshatra, the return of light. Punarvasu represents renewal, restoration, and second chances. It teaches that clarity can return after confusion, that a person may lose the path and still find the way home. The evolved Punarvasu does not simply return to the past, it returns with deeper understanding. Together, these three nakshatras describe Gemini's evolution. Curiosity begins the journey, that is Mrigashira. Truth breaks illusion, that is Adra, and wisdom restores clarity, that is Punarvasu. Gemini begins with two, the twins, the speaker and listener, the lover and beloved. Spiritually, however, the native must discover the consciousness within which these opposites arise. The mind gathers information, contacts, and experiences, but eventually it must ask, what is the essence? Information gives many answers. Wisdom reveals what truly matters. This is why silence becomes necessary for Gemini. Silence is not the absence of intelligence. It allows intelligence to settle. When the mind is constantly occupied by messages, videos, news, and opinions, intuition becomes difficult to hear. Gemini is naturally gifted in speaking. Its higher lesson is to listen to another person, to the heart, and finally to the silence within. At its highest expression, Mercury does not merely make a person clever, it makes the person useful. A Gemini native can become a bridge between knowledge and those who need it, between two people who have misunderstood each other, or between a difficult truth and the language through which it can be accepted. But a bridge must remain steady. If the mind is constantly reacting, forwarding, commenting, and arguing, communication loses its sacred purpose. The native then becomes surrounded by words but deprived of understanding. Therefore, the real discipline for Gemini is discrimination. Before speaking, ask whether the words are true, necessary, and helpful. Before repeating information, ask whether it has been verified. Before giving advice, ask whether the other person wants guidance or simply wishes to be heard. This does not weaken Gemini's spontaneity, it refines it. It gives every word direction, dignity, and purpose. And this reminds me of a beautiful and humorous story that carries a powerful message for every Gemini native. I have heard once it happened that Pandit Chaturdas was passing through a forest. He came upon a skull. Just curious as he always was, he asked the skull, "What brought you here, sir?" And he was amazed because the skull said, "Talking brought me here, sir." He couldn't believe it, but he had heard it. So he ran to the court of the king. He told there that, "I have seen a miracle. A skull, a talking skull, lying just near our village in the forest." The king also couldn't believe, but he was also curious. The whole court followed. They went into the forest. Pandit Chaturdas went near the skull and asked again the same question, "What brought you here, sir?" But the skull remained silent. He asked again and again and again, but the skull was dead silent. The king said, "I knew it before, Chaturdas, that you are a liar. But now this is too much. You have played such a joke that you will have to suffer for it." He ordered his guard to cut his head and throw the head near the skull for the ants to eat. When everybody went, the king and his court, the skull started talking again. Yes, the skull started talking again. And the skull asked, "What brought you here, sir?" Pandit Chaturdas answered, "Talking brought me here, sir." And talking has brought man here, the situation that is today. A constant chattering mind does not allow any happiness, any possibility of happiness, because only a silent mind can look within. Only a silent mind can hear the silence, the happiness that is always bubbling there. But it is so subtle that with the noise of the mind, you cannot hear it. And perhaps this is one of the most important messages for Gemini natives. Your ability to speak is a gift. Your curiosity is a gift. Your quick intelligence is a gift. Your ability to move from one subject to another and connect different ideas is also a gift. But every gift must be governed by awareness. Not every thought needs to become a sentence. Not every piece of information needs to be forwarded. Not every observation needs to be expressed. Not every argument needs your participation. And not every silence needs to be filled. Sometimes Gemini speaks because it has something valuable to communicate. But sometimes Gemini speaks simply because the mind feels uncomfortable when nothing is happening. The moment silence appears, the mind searches for a subject. It remembers an old incident. It creates an imaginary conversation. It begins analyzing somebody's behavior. It opens the phone. It checks messages. It looks for news. It moves towards another source of stimulation. But my dear Gemini natives, silence is not emptiness. Silence is where your scattered energy begins returning to you. You spend so much of your life entering the minds of other people. You listen to their opinions. You read their messages. You understand their problems. You respond to their questions. You observe their behavior. But how much time do you spend entering your own inner world? Gemini is the master of external communication. Its spiritual evolution begins with internal communication. The important question is no longer what are other people saying. The deeper question becomes what is my own consciousness trying to tell me. You may speak with hundreds of people and still remain unfamiliar with yourself. You may possess enormous information and still not know which direction your own life should take. You may understand the psychology of everybody around you and still remain unable to understand the restlessness within your own mind. That is why silence becomes essential. Speech carries you toward the world. Silence carries you toward yourself. Speech allows you to meet another person. Silence allows you to meet your own soul. The skull in the story said, "Talking brought me here, sir." But conscious silence can take you somewhere completely different. It can take you toward clarity. It can take you toward inner stability. It can take you toward awareness. And eventually, it can take you toward the divine. The highest Gemini is not the person who speaks the most. The highest Gemini is the person whose words carry meaning because they arise from inner stillness. When your mind is restless, your words also become restless. When your mind is confused, communication creates further confusion. But when the mind becomes peaceful, even a few words can transform another person. This is why the greatest speakers are not merely people who know how to speak, they also know when to pause. They know when to listen. They know when the other person needs advice. And they know when the other person simply needs compassionate presence. Mercury gives intelligence, but silence gives maturity to intelligence. Mercury gives language, but awareness gives responsibility to language. Mercury gives speed, but wisdom teaches you when to slow down. This is the true spiritual discipline of Gemini. Before speaking, pause for one moment. Ask yourself, is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Will it create clarity? Or am I speaking merely because the mind wants movement? This one pause can protect relationships. It can prevent misunderstandings. It can save you from unnecessary arguments. It can protect your reputation. And most importantly, it can preserve your inner peace. Gemini is connected with multiplication. Therefore, whatever you speak has the potential to multiply. One encouraging sentence may give somebody confidence. One careless remark may create lasting pain. One truthful message may remove confusion. One rumor may damage many lives. So become conscious of what you multiply. Do not multiply fear. Do not multiply gossip. Do not multiply suspicion. Do not multiply unnecessary mental noise. Multiply knowledge. Multiply hope. Multiply intelligent humor. Multiply meaningful conversation. Multiply understanding. Multiply kindness. And multiply love. That is how Mercury becomes sacred. My dear Gemini natives, you do not have to suppress your natural expressiveness. You are not meant to become dull, serious, or withdrawn. Your liveliness is beautiful. Your humor is beautiful. Your capacity to learn and share is beautiful. But let your communication flow from a centered mind rather than from your nervous restlessness. Speak because your words carry value. Listen because another soul deserves to be understood. And remain silent when silence can reveal something that words cannot. Devote at least 10 minutes every day to complete silence. No telephone, no mobile, no television, no conversation, no reading. Simply sit quietly and observe the movement of your mind. And do not fight the thoughts. Do not follow the thoughts. Let them come and go. Gradually, the speed will reduce. And beneath that constant movement, you may discover a presence that was always there. That presence is not restlessness. It does not need entertainment. It does not require validation. It is peaceful by its very nature. And I would strongly recommend that you start chanting the mantra Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chant this beautiful Vasudeva mantra. Chant it daily 108 times, the morning and evening. When the mind moves toward 10 different directions, let the mantra bring it back to one direction. When thoughts multiply, return to the mantra. When conversations disturb you, return to the mantra. When you do not know what to say, chant silently before responding. When you feel lonely, do not immediately search for another person. First, sit with the divine presence within you. Because the deepest union is not merely the union of one person with another. The deepest union is the meeting of the restless mind with the silent soul. And that is the highest meaning of Mithun. The journey begins when two people meet over a cup of coffee. But the spiritual journey becomes complete when the individual finally meets the self. The first meeting creates conversation. The final meeting creates silence. The first meeting awakens desire. The final meeting awakens consciousness. The first meeting brings you closer to another person. The final meeting brings you back home. So, my dear Gemini men and women, continue learning, continue exploring, continue communicating, continue carrying fresh ideas into the world. But do not allow the noise of the world to take you away from yourself. Let your curiosity become inquiry. Let your intelligence become wisdom. Let your attraction become conscious love. Let your communication become healing. Let your duality find an inner center. And let your words emerge from the silence of a peaceful heart. May the seeking energy of Mrigashira Nakshatra lead you toward truth. May the storms of Adra Nakshatra cleanse your mind of everything that is false. And may the light of Punarvasu always guide you back toward hope, clarity, and renewal. May your words uplift rather than wound. May your intelligence unite rather than divide. May your relationships bring depth rather than temporary excitement. May Mercury bless you with clarity, discrimination, and meaningful expression. And whenever the mind becomes too noisy, remember the words of the skull. Talking brought me here, sir. Then smile, become quiet, close your eyes, and listen to the happiness that has always been bubbling silently within you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Remember to chant this mantra throughout your life, and you will be alright. Love to all my Gemini natives. I personally love Gemini because without Gemini, even YouTube would have not been possible. because it is through Gemini that we all connect digitally. Jai Sri Ganesha, Jai Guru.
ॐ गं गणपतये नमः। ॐ गं गणपतये नमः। ॐ गं गणपतये नमः।